Shalom, WJC family. It is Thursday, and I'm preparing for this weekend. Very exciting weekend. My official installation for being the senior rabbi here at Westchester Jewish Center in Mamaroneck. Very exciting. The installation. I was talking with David Goldstein, our executive director, today. We said if signing the contract is like Tanayim, this document you sign before you get married, then the installation is like the chuppah. I'm very excited for our chuppah this weekend. It got me thinking about what does it mean, this whole idea of synagogue and a rabbi and being together. So I was considering the Parshat Vayetze, which we will read before the installation on Sunday. On Saturday, we will read it. And in it, we read about our namesake, Yaakov, who later will be named Yisrael, Israel, our namesake, as the Bnei Yisrael. And we read he has this dream. He's fleeing home. He's gotten into a fight with his brother Esau, having tricked Isaac into giving Jacob Esau's intended blessing. And now he's fleeing, and he has a dream, and he dreams of Jacob's ladder, famously angels going up and down a ladder. And he wakes up, and he says this prayer that sounds very chutzpahdik, right? He says, if I am successful in my journey, if I have food to eat and water to drink and clothes to wear, and I go off on this journey and come back in peace, then God will be my God. What do you mean, then God will be your what? If not, God won't be your God? It's a very sort of basic kind of prayer that, like if all my needs are met and everything in my life goes perfectly, then God, then I'll know God is favoring me. We talk in Judaism about being a chosen people. And what does it mean that we're chosen for? And if we think it means that it's chosen that everything's going to be better for us than everyone else, or that we are somehow better than everyone else, we are sadly mistaken. And in the commentary of Yeshayahu Leibovich, which I've been making my way through over the last year or so, he brings a great midrash from Midrash Rabbah that sort of goes deeper into this prayer, midrashically, by playing off the words, but I think reminds us that, being chosen, being Jewish doesn't mean everything is going to be better, but it's still worthwhile. Let's see how. So first of all, it interprets the prayer. If God is with me and protects me on the path on which I am going, it says, midrashically, we know on the path, bederech, is used in other contexts to be talked about lashon hara, or slander. So if God makes sure that I am not the victim of slander, it does not affect me or my family, and he will give me bread to eat, and the Midrash says, actually, bread to eat all over the place is a euphemism for lewdness and sexual licentiousness. So if God will protect me from slander, will protect my family from sexual licentiousness, and I return in peace to my Father's house, that to be taken literally, that there should be no blood spilt in his family or by his family, and God will be my God. That God will preserve him from idolatry, him and his family from idolatry. So now it's not such a simple blessing. He's praying that none of these things should affect him. Look, I'm a patriarch. I mean, he doesn't know he's a patriarch yet, but he knows, look, I'm the grandson of Abraham. Actually, he's called my father, spiritual father, just like Abraham is our spiritual father. And look, I don't want any of these things to happen to me, okay? Now, why does he suspect he might be the victim of these things? Well, he hasn't been so good up until now, right? He's been very deceitful. He's kind of blackmailed Esau out of his birthright. He's definitely tricked Isaac into giving him Esau's blessing. And now, he's like, I get how this works. There's some karma, right? What goes around comes around, but God, protect me from all these things. And here's what's amazing. The Midrash continues and says, all the things that Jacob wished to refrain from, wished would not be part of his life, came upon him. He wished to refrain from slander, and what happened to him in his household? Joseph brought to his father their evil report. And because of the slander, brother against brother, ultimately we know how that unravels. Joseph sold into slavery, Jacob miserable over it. Jacob wished to refrain from lewdness, and in his household, the events of Reuben and Bilhah, right? That's his oldest son, who slept with his third or fourth wife or concubine. It's hard to say exactly what Zilpah and Bilhah are, but they are the mothers of his children, not Reuben, who's Leah's child. So that's definitely not good. And Judah and Tamar also happens. That's another one of his sons who has a whole problem with his daughter-in-law, and there ends up being a sexual meeting there. He very much wished to live in peace and refrain from shedding blood. And the affair of Shechem and Shimon and Levi, an action which one can find justification, says the Midrash, but which nevertheless an action whose accursedness Jacob mentioned decades later, just before he died, right? So Shimon and Levi go and sack the city of Shechem, kill everybody in it, also through deceit. They get everyone to circumcise themselves, and then they go and sack the place. And Jacob never seems to forgive them for it. In their final blessing, he mentions this. And even idolatry, that when he flees from Laban's land to head back to Canaan, Rachel took her father's idols into Jacob's home, and later Jacob had to demand the removal of the foreign gods in their midst. So everything that Jacob prayed for that wouldn't happen to him, happened to him. What kind of chosenness is this? It reminds me of a Yiddish poem. I think the title is something like, "Choose someone else. No thanks. We don't need this kind of chosenness." So if Jacob's prayers weren't going to be fulfilled, his prayers, whether it's the midrashic prayers of all these things, or that he's going to have peace along his journey the more simple way, then what is this business with chosenness? What does it mean to be chosen? Well, it means that you are never alone. The world is going to work the way the world works, and we cannot always understand it. It is very hard for us to understand what is good and what is bad in the world, although we very easily understand what is painful and hurtful to us and what is delightful. But those don't always match up. Living is taxing. It can be stressful. It can also be wonderful and beautiful. Judaism, the faith of our forefather Jacob, in this story, it's telling us Judaism is not about having everything go right, having living be easy. No, it's about knowing that even though things are going to go awry, that living will be hard. And when we make mistakes, we will have to face the consequences of those mistakes, just like our forefather Jacob. But we will never have to face them alone. Not only will we be together with God, who is always with us, and not only us, but in our special covenantal way, but also with each other. We are part of a people. Something that helps us get through tough times, and Lord knows we've had our share. And when we celebrate our installation, my installation as a rabbi of this congregation, at Westchester Jewish Center, on Sunday morning, this is what we are celebrating. That we are now journeying together. That whatever we face, we will face together. We will have good times and beautiful times, and also challenging and trying times. But no matter what, we will never be alone in those times. And together, even when times are tough, hopefully we'll be able to call out the beauty and the holiness of those moments better, using the beautiful rituals of our people, using the faith that we share, and using the connection with God that we cultivate all the time, through Shabbos, through prayer, through doing mitzvot together. Looking forward to celebrating Shabbat with you on Saturday and to celebrating the installation with you on Sunday. Shabbat Shalom.